with me, and we have a lot to talk about. I'm not even sure if that hour and a half is enough, but we're gonna get into it. Of course, we all know Carnival in Trinidad and Tobago just finished, Carriacou as well, and it was a very interesting season, and we're gonna look at it. And of course, Grenada had a significant part in there, of course, through Blackadan winning the ultimate soca title. Yes, indeed. Congratulations again to Blackadan and all the other participants. But Val is with me. Val, good evening and welcome back. How are you doing?
I'm good. Good evening, as always. Good evening to Grenada. Good evening to all the other islands in the Windward and Leeward who are hearing this program. You know, pleased to be here once again to talk Kaiso.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yeah. Yes, indeed. And folks, let me tell you, we're going to talk Kaiso. But first, I want to get from Val a brief synopsis of the season, the Carnival season in Trinidad. I mean, Trinidad Carnival, there's a lot going on. You have all the feds, all the different competitions, panorama, stick fighting, freestyle, extempo, you name it. It happens, you know. And I would like to hear from Val. Val, your thoughts now that the season is basically completed. All the results are in. Congratulations to the winners. What's your take on how the season went? I mean, briefly.
Well, another carnival season in Trinidad and Tobago. A number of things happen. Carnival always throws up a number of things so that through the competitions, through the activities, you get a reflection of the society. So that now that the carnival is over, there is always that time to pause and reflect. So it gives you that, and of course today is Ash Wednesday, and for those who are of the Catholic persuasion, you know, you go to the church and you get your ashes and so on, and you start your penitence, and you go into your period of fasting and so on. So always interesting. The calypsos presents stories of what took place during the year or 2 years. The soca offers the party goers a nice mix of songs so that they can enjoy themselves. You have the steel band who would take whatever song they choose. They can go do present song, they can do past songs, and present them. So that is there. Stick fight, as you mentioned, is becoming one of the features of our carnival of late. You know, such an activity that was restricted to the country areas. I mean, Grandy and Mayaro and so on is now coming closer to the town. Right. We are seeing all of those things, and all of those activities are feeding into the present day carnival, feeding into the topics that are presented, so that the stick fight rhythms are part of some soca and calypso songs. You see all of that. So I mean, another interesting year on offer in terms of all the activities that make up Trinidad Carnival.
Right. Of course, a big part of that, Val, is the competitions, and we're going to get to that because, you know, there's been some really, really interesting stuff happening. You know, comments, somebody getting fired. I mean, all kind of thing happening, and I think it's, you know, all of these things speaks very true to the saying that carnival is bacchanal, you know, because a lot of bacchanal that takes place.
Always bacchanal.
Yeah, and you know, some of it, in a sense, is really good fun. I mean, of course, there are those who do take some things personal. I was looking at the March Gras, for example, and at the close, you know, when the results were announced, there was a little commotion in one little corner, and the gentleman doing the commentary was saying, you know, it's nothing really. It's a fella that crying there because you know, he really wanted Marshall to win, and you know that didn't happen, so he was in a corner crying.
Well, people always have their horses. People have their horses even before the preliminary round. You know, there are people who have their horses in terms of who would be in the semi-final and who would be in the final. So that there are those who believe, just as people believe back in the day, that Sparrow cannot lose any competition.
Yeah, but that was
Marshall in the same way that Marshall cannot lose. Yeah, but it has been proven that even the best on any given night could be beaten.
Yeah. So, well, in the case of Sparrow, Chucky did, you know, prove that was a misconception, and
maybe because, again, I mean, at that point in time, you know, he just did not have the kind of material to go over the edge.
Of course.
So he lost.
Of course,
right?
Of course.
But these things happen. You know, the king is there, and people always want to pull down the king. You know?
Definitely.
Beat him like a boboli.
Yeah.
So that is part of the process. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Once you are installed any place in any region in this Caribbean, you're installed as the king or queen. Next year, people want to pull you down.
They're coming after you.
And put some licks on you very bad to prove that they are the new king or they're better than you. And that's part of the competition. So we have that all through the Caribbean. And this carnival in Trinidad is no different.
I was listening to Marshall, you know, commenting on a couple of that he was saying, you know, you have to understand people. And he was speaking specifically to people in Trinidad. But, you know, I listened and I smiled, because I'm saying, boy, if you think that's Trinidad, you got to come to Grenada. Because he was making the point, you know, when you come, you win. Everybody, yay! First time, yay! You win second time, yay! But the year getting a little softer, and by the time you win the fourth time, but here again, what you give people a chance, and you know, you get that kind of thing, you know, forgetting that, look, it's a competition and it's open, you know, whoever wants to participate, they're free to do so. But that being said, let's just go back a bit. Let's start with the ultimate soca competition. The music, I find this year was really good. I think they had some really nice songs this year. Of course, the nicest one being the one from Grenada, and I say so.
Grenada once again, Talpri was third, I think.
Yeah, Talpri was third.
And now, right back then, the what's his name?
Mr. Killer.
Groovy.
From Barbados, yes. Right? Biggie Irie, yes.
Irie, and now we have Black Adan.
But we had Mr. Killer as well. Remember,
I think that
Mr. Killer played second one year and then won.
Killer, right.
And then,
let's not forget Killer.
Right.
You know? But I think that like Sparrow, who was born in Grenada and come to Trinidad, I think Black Adan has some Trinidad also roots, right? So he
was born in Grenada. He grew up in Trinidad and then came back home. In fact, he did say that
he was born in Trinidad and come to Grenada.
No. What are you trying? Don't try that. Let me tell you something. Every so-called great Trinidadian born in Grenada, you know. So don't get don't get time with that.
Because somewhere I'm getting cross. I'm not too sure whether he born in Trinidad.
Yeah, he was born here. He was born here, taken to Trinidad. Where, in fact, he said so in an interview that all his school life was in Trinidad. Yeah, but he was inspired by Blazer Dan, by Blazer, right? Blazer Dan was his name, right?
Blazer Dan, yeah.
Blazer Dan, who
died.
Yeah. That's where
from Central.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he was inspired by Blazer Dan, came back to Grenada. So, in fact, in 2013, Blackadon won the Groovy Monarch in Grenada. So he's been doing very well, He's always been up there. I think he won in 2013. He's placed third, I think, before. This year, he was a strong contender, but he had some issues on the night, so he didn't fall in the first three. But the song was always very popular, and so it picked up a lot of steam on the Trinidad. And of course, like Talpree, when Talpree placed third in Trinidad, when Talpree did that song here in the Soca Monarch, he placed sixth. And he placed sixth, and the song started to pick up, and people started to run with it, and then went to Trinidad and did very well. So you find these things happening, But
you're saying, you're saying that Trinidad has a history of taking Grenada's third, fourth, fifth place and pushing it to the top, sending it back to you and tell you, it's a better song than you thought it was.
Well,
it's not the first time that has happened.
I mean, you can put it that way, but sometimes the song need a little time to build and to develop, and so yes, we have to give Trinidad some credit for that, for taking the songs and loving it and all of that, and we have to also remember the culture is very similar, very, very similar, because Gypsy told me once that there are more Grenadians in Trinidad than in Grenada, and I honestly believe him. I believe
it's very possible. Mm-hmm. It's very possible. You have a population of about 100,000. We have a population of 1.4 million.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And if you look at Point 14 and Laventille and so on, it's possible. And other areas of Trinidad and Tobago, it's possible that you do have more Grenadians living in Trinidad and Tobago than you have in Grenada. So that's very possible.
Yes, indeed. So just kind of going back. So yes, the songs I thought was quite good. As I said, I followed it quite a bit. There were some really good ones. And then of course the Calypso, which of course my Calypso is my
your pet.
Yeah, definitely. So this year I think more than a lot in recent times I've followed the Calypso, very, very, very closely, paid attention, listened to some of the tents, some of the semi-final, and of course the March Gras. And while we were talking earlier, you did mention some of the songs that you felt should have been in there and didn't make it, and you always find that. But I totally agree with you, because I've listened to some of the songs, some of the Calypsos, and I'm telling you, there's some really good Calypsos I think that probably should have gone on to the semi-final and possibly the final, but did not make it. But nevertheless, it is what it is. So let's start the Kaiso talk, and maybe coming from the 10th, into the semi-final. What's your thought on the process and how things went, and what you felt, how you feel about the whole thing?
Well, there are certain things we touched on in a previous program, and I wanna probably start there. In the program with Panther and Kurtz, I said it before, but I mention it again, reiterate that Panther talk about the program, and I think that I talk about Kitchener and the program and how important the program was to attend, because it is about choosing songs that would bring people to the tent time and time again, because they are interested in the product.
Right.
And I still feel that when you look at the tent setup this year in Trinidad and previous years, we haven't dealt with that fact. There are too many Calypsonians still that are seated in a tent. So a tent has an audition, and they would select 2 or 3 new calypsonians and calypsos to come into the space. And so that you have the majority of the participants in the tent who really do not audition, do not present a song. They are just there. And I think that comfort threatens the stability and ability of a tent to draw an audience. Because once you are not challenged to come with a good song yearly, then why should you work hard to have a good song? You're there. Yes, you want to make the semi-final and final, but first of all, getting into that tent space and securing whatever weekly allowance you get for it is the first hurdle. That's primary. So that I think that the tents do have to look at their auditioning again and ensure that the product is better, so that they make a real all-out effort to bring people into the tent space, right? And once that changes, I think that you would have different songs in the semi-final, right? And people are not going to be selected based on just a name, so that if I jump to the semi-final and final, it's clear that decisions were made to have like 7 monarchs in the in the final.
There were.
Because they have a name, because it will look good, and that would tell people, well, this is the best final ever because there are 7 past monarchs there. But the truth is that you have a crop of not too good songs. As I was saying earlier on, I just before I came on air, I heard a clip from Chogdas at a lime drinking with his buddies and talking calypso, and he says that the winner is the best of a bad lot, right? And coming from Chogdas is quite an indictment,
right,
in terms of the quality songs that end up in the final.
Right.
He said that Helen is the best of a bad lot.
Right. Right. But we have a call on the line. Let's take a call to see who is with us. Kaiso talk. Good evening. Well, okay. We lost the caller, but they may call back. Okay. Yeah, and folks, if you want to be part of the conversation, the number is 435-2041. You can give us a call, and you can, of course, as we say, add your 2 pence. We'll be happy to hear from you. Those of you who followed the Calypso on the Carnival. So you can do so. 435-2041. That's the number you can call. So yeah, but I mean, coming from Chogdas, this is something that we need to pay attention to, because Chucky is someone who was hosted many, adjudicating workshops on Kaiso and things like that, and he has a very good understanding. Of course, he's also a lecturer or dean at the Trinidad and Tobago University.
UTT.
Yes, right.
University of Trinidad and Tobago.
Right. So he's definitely an authority on that. But coming from the semi-final, I listened to it. There was, a lot of good Kaisos, but somehow, somewhere, some of them did not get past there. And I want to get your thoughts, but let's go back to the telephone and see if we get through with that caller. Kaiso talk. Good evening.
Someone who was,
hello.
Hosting many, adjudicating workshops.
Hello.
And things like that, and he has a very good understanding. Of course, he is also.
All right. So folks, let me just say, if you calling to be part of the program, when you call, you need to turn the volume of your radio or your TV down. Whatever you're listening to, you need to turn the volume down, because if you don't, then you would sort of be a little confused. So remember, you calling, turn the volume of your radio or your TV down. Let's try one more time and see. Kaiso talk. Good evening.
Hello?
Yes, can you turn the volume of your...
Hello?
Yes, can you turn the volume of your radio, your TV down, caller?
Hello?
Caller, can you turn the volume of your TV down?
Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
You need to turn the volume of your radio or your TV down and listen to me on your telephone.
Okay. I could still do that?
Yes, turn down the volume and listen to me on your telephone.
Hold on.
You would probably be confused. So remember, he's calling, turn the volume of your...
Yep.
Right, so now you hearing me better?
Yes.
Okay, right, so yes, go ahead.
Yes, I just want to ask Godfrey whether that's Godfrey speaking.
Yes.
Whether you heard, you saw that that clip by the Archbishop of Trinidad and Tobago on the Calypso thing and the song Blessings, and how so proud he was. And coming from somebody like the Archbishop of Trinidad, I think there's a very, 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 very high commendation.
I saw something where he was defending his presence. Yes.
So that's a real nice thing you could do, because I nearly got upset with you when there's someone talk about the white people church and go by Pastor King. Pastor King would never mention anything about a calypso like that, because these churches and them hate things like calypso. I'm a Roman Catholic. I'm proud to say.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
But you must play that. You should play that tape on the program.
We would mention it. We'll speak about it for certain.
Okay then.
All right. All the best. No problem. Yeah. Val, did you hear his comment?
No, I did not.
He was making reference to I think it was it an archbishop who there was something in Trinidad where he was at the March Gras, and there were some questions around, and he was basically defending. I didn't go through the entire clip, but that was the essence of it. There usually people feel that if you someone of the cloth, so to speak, then you should not be part of activities like that. We've had similar things here in Grenada, but of course, I guess to each his own. So
it's not unheard of. We had in the past in the latter 60s, 70s, a Father Sewell, Irish priest, who was very much involved in carnival celebrations. In fact, he was responsible for why Cypher sang "If the Priest Could Play."
Who is me?
Yeah, if the priest could play. So that Father Sewell was involved in a number of activities. Brought the pan into the church and so on, and changed a number of things. So that especially the Catholic priests, they have seen that it's not necessarily profane or anything else to recognize the celebration or the culture of the people.
That's right. That's right.
As being something that is ungodly, quote unquote ungodly, so that they see it differently. Yeah,
definitely. We've had that here as well, but I don't know. I guess people have their own opinions of different things, but as I said, to each his own. But let's go back to the semi-final round of competition, and some of the picks moving into the final. Your thoughts on some of them?
Well, let's look at criteria.
Right.
So that we have a criteria that says 30 points for melody, 30 points for lyric, 20 points for rendition, 10 points for presentation, 10 points for originality.
Yeah.
So that is the criteria used. And if you follow that criteria, then you would think that the big ticket items are melody, lyric, rendition.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When you look at the 40 or 41, since there is always a reserve, when you look at the 40 or 41 that were selected, sometimes you want to question whether it is the same criteria used.
Right.
You know? And that has been somewhat of a problem, you know. I mean, every year you have to look at things. In Trinidad, we have a number of calypso tents, right? You have tents managed by TUCO, where TUCO is the overarching authority for the tent, the leadership of their tents, so that they have tents in Trinidad and tents in Tobago, right? And there are a few, you could claim, independent tents, but they are still supported through TUCO, right? Mm-hmm. So that what happens is that there is a kind of my term, sometimes a sort of proportional representation where people are selected almost from each tent, right? Of course, it didn't happen in the case of the icons this year,
right,
who got none at all, first time, I think. But in the main, Calypsonians are selected from almost all the tents, right? And that is questionable. You can put up probably a red flag there, because it is possible that on any given day, if there is a really good crop of calypsos, that one tent could have, let's say, 10 of the best calypsos for the season.
Yeah, definitely.
But they may not get 10 picks, because you now have to accommodate a number of other tents to appease everybody, so that you have a problem there, you know. So what happens really is that sometimes the best of the lot does not reach into the semi-final, you know. And I don't know how TUCO and the authorities can adequately deal with that, so that what you have are the best songs on merit going into the semi-finals and going into the final, right? So they really have to deal with that. So that if you look at the criteria based on, I say, in terms of melody and lyric and rendition, which are the big items, and you go back and you watch your clip in terms of the song, you wonder how much that song would probably have made in terms of melody, lyric, presentation, originality to make it into the semi-final. So that you have some questions, some red flags there. But you know, it is always probably a work in progress, and maybe one day we will get it right.
But I agree with you. In fact, I have heard calls in Grenada for exactly what you spoke about, that there should be Calypsonians from every tent moving on to the next round of competition, which I don't agree with. I believe that in a competition, you have a criteria, and the calypsos that go on should be the best of the lot. So if you have a tent that has 15 Calypsonians, and they have the best 15 calypso, they should go through.
I said,
and I have absolutely no apology saying that, you know, because it is a competition. People, I mean, you have to understand. Look, in a competition, it's something where people are awarded based on a criteria that is set, and if the work that is presented meets the criteria in an adequate way, by all means, these are the calypsos that should be going forward. It doesn't mean because you have 5 or 6 tents that you have to pick 5 from each tent. It doesn't work that way. That to me is destroying the art form and is demotivating Calypsonians.
Yeah. You know, so that and those are the things like that are raising a lot of questions, a lot of red flag in terms of competition. You know, is the competition necessary? And all through, again, the Caribbean, we have competitions in terms of calypso. It is how calypsonians see themselves as making money. You know, the state is supporting the calypso tent and awarding or giving the bodies in Trinidad is you have NCC disbursing money to Tuco. In Grenada, you have Spice Mass and so on, right? So you want to have really fair play, to be open, and one does not feel that there is any kind of behind the scene operation taking place, that Joking Board or whoever from wherever, you know, can come with a song, and once it's a good song, reach into the final. And that's just it. You know, you can come from anywhere, any place in whether it is Grenada or Trinidad with a good song, present it in the tent, get selected, and reach the final and win if it is the best song on offer.
You know,
and it has nothing to do with name or anything like that.
You know, Val, and what you've said has raised something, because this is why, and I do not know the reason why it's done that way in Trinidad, but at one point there used to be, the Calypsonians presented 2 songs on the Marshgrove night. I know they went to 1, then they went back to 2, and now they're back at 1, and it seems as if that the 1 song is here to stay. But if you ask me, and this is just my position, I believe at any given time a man could make a fluke. And I you see, calypso, the art form of calypso is such that, and Choctaw said it once, a calypso is an academic paper. And it is different from the jump and wave soca, where a man could just take 2 lines and a chorus, and then you become the monarch, the soca king. Calypso is different. There must be a message. Calypso should show depth. It should show a certain capability of the artist. What's your take on the 1 song? I mean, I don't know if you know the reasoning behind the 1 song, moving from 2 to 1. Maybe we could have a discussion there.
Well, certainly. I think that I mean, in my early years, we all grew up with 2 songs. Yeah. You know, and I think that the 2 songs posed a challenge in terms of the ability of the Calypsonian. You know, so that the ability of the Calypsonian was on show, because he can go there and perform 2 songs. But not only perform 2 songs, he also came from that period where the Calypsonian was supposed to be the creator of his songs, you know, so that he created the songs and he went up there and he sang it. And he sang his 2 compositions in this competition to see who is the best Calypsonian. So that was the challenge. The challenge is that you must not just have 1 good song, right? As in the case where King Austin, who had progressed, you know, and lost, because the other song was not as strong. So that Relata would have had, you know, 2 songs, and he had 1. So that the 2 songs tested the mettle of the Calypsonian, you know. And I say, you know, he was supposed to be the creator of that song and go there and sang his song. Once the 2 songs became a real struggle for Calypsonians, especially in this modern era where you have a great majority who are not creating their own material, then you have a kind of whittling down and settling for 1 song as the challenge. But I think that as societies, we have to engage that. I heard somebody was saying on Facebook that we should go back to the 2 songs, because so it was 12 Calypsonians and then maybe 15 Calypsonians or so, or 20, so that even if you have 20 and then 24 Calypsonians, so if you are 24 by 2, that's 48 songs, as opposed to 40 songs. so which seems to be a longer period than you have now in terms of 40 songs, But I think that it is not a question of numbers, right, of presenting 40 people at Skinner Park simply to spread it. I think that the audience still want to hear the best calypsos on offer, coming from the best artists. So that it is something we need to look at, right? I think that the challenge in calypso is that you want to hear what the calypsonian have to offer, right? My personal feeling about a calypso tent is that it should have less people. My ideal calypso tent is probably to have about 15 calypsonians who can present 2 or 3 songs. Not everyone would sing on the night, but I would like to have a tent where the artists can go up there on any given night and sing 3 songs about this space in which they live. Whether it is in Trinidad or in Grenada, that you can go there and let me hear what you have to say about living on this island, on this rock, And if the songs are good, you move forward and you reach the final and you sing in any competition and so on. But at the end of the season, people hear you, they hear your views on particular things. I don't know that the one song does that.
You see,
it does not showcase the artist.
No, I agree. No, the thing is, I'm wondering, listening to you, and I'm wondering if our calypsonians are becoming less intelligent. Because let's go back to the days of the Sparrow and the Blakeys and the composers and all of these guys and the ciphers. I mean, those guys used to put out album with 6 and 7 songs every year. We remember we had the LPs, the wax, and on both sides you put 3 songs on one side and 3 on the other side, and yeah. So I don't understand this issue of men not being able to put out 2 or 3 good songs. I really don't get it. Are we?
How can you take a year to write one song?
Well, that's my point. So I'm wondering here. I'm wondering what is happening. So it's soca artists are doing it. Barring their songs as be 2 and 3 lines, but I mean they do it. They do have 4 and 5 soca and groovy in a year. There are so much issues, so much social, political, and all other issues that are, right before our eyes. But yet still, our calypsonians cannot pen 2 good Kaisos that they can present at the tent or at the competition to put them in a position where they can, get encores and cheers from the crowd and get people to want to come out to hear them. What's happening?
Yeah. We definitely need to revisit that. That has become a problem. I think that mediocrity has become standard. And because mediocrity has become standard, you have a lot of very kind of substandard songs being treated as quality, right? So again, let's look at the criteria and understand it. What is melody, what is lyric, and that is the thing. Some people tend to think that lyric means something lofty and philosophical.
Yeah.
Right? And lyric really is about how the lyric,
the treatment of your topic.
Melody to make this song, so that you have some horrible attempts at being philosophical that becomes boring, and very monotonous, and that is not a good quality song. So that we. In Trinidad, I know that Chogdas has been one who has trained a number of judges and so on. But sometimes people become so academic about what to look for that they are simply thinking in terms of the lyric alone. you know.
Yeah.
So that the lyric in terms of and rendition, right? Before the program started, you were playing Fearless and the 5 rules of Calypso, which has become, people pull that up from their back pocket every time you talk about Calypso, the 5 rules, you know. But inside of that, Fearless did talk about, you know, marrying lyric and melody.
Yeah.
And that's not to be understood. So that lyric has to be married to melody. You have to find your proper key of orchestration, meaning singing in key.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Singing in key. Right? So that people are falling in and out of keys, which affects the ability to render and so on. Right? And of course, presentation, you have a whole kind of dramatic skit now happening. Right?
And that is not, but that is not,
the song starts.
But that is not presentation, and I mean, I don't understand that. And mind you, all this drama, all this dramatization that takes place, there are people who look to that when it comes to actually crowning a monarch.
I think people have been duped into thinking that, you know, you need a skit. Personally, I feel if you have to present a skit to talk about the Calypso, then the Calypso isn't written properly, you know. Because I still believe that the Calypso is the be all and end all, and it doesn't need any kind of prologue to help you to understand what it is. Once you have to come there and use some kind of dramatic skit to explain the song, I feel that sends a signal, you know. But that is becoming so ridiculous now that we need to put a stop to it.
Well, exactly. I mean, it's you know, I don't understand, because if I personally, a Calypsonian who gets to the final round of competition, that final 10 or 11 or 12 Calypsonians, I don't see why they all cannot get 10 points for presentation. Because it is not drama. It is simply what it says, how you present the material to the judges. And I don't know. But I wanted to make the point that some of the competitions that are held in Trinidad, for example, the extempo, which is, you know, a wonderful aspect of the art form, and the freestyle. I didn't realize you had that freestyle thing. To me, these are two excellent ways of getting Calypsonians to better compose, you know, because you have to be thinking. You have to be thinking, and maybe they should make it mandatory that Calypsonians must enter into the freestyle thing to help develop their craft. No, I believe that. And the extempo.
I hear you. The thing about it is that both the ability to extempo or freestyle is not necessarily about crafting a song, you know. Once you have the information, you have a rhythm, you can write the rhythm. In the case of the extempo, or what we call the Santimanite, you know, you create a lyric based on a given topic, a story, and you sing for that. So yeah, in a way that is part of composing. Yeah. But when you have to compose on a different melody or create a calypso, some of that ability to freestyle as Gypsy uses in his own composition of calypso, you know, sometimes he, as a person, you can hear it, he relies too much on that ability to extempo, and it could also weaken a very good calypso, the structure of it. So that one has to be careful. While it's a good asset to have, right, you cannot depend on it too much to create other forms of creative work.
I'm thinking here,
but it definitely helps.
Yeah, I'm thinking here in terms of the Calypsonian being able to think quickly. You know, you can be on a stage and in a spur of the moment, you can just go blank. Now, if you have that ability to extempore, to freestyle, you could probably save what could be a devastation on the night. So I'm thinking with the extempo and the freestyle, it can help you to think, keep the mind rolling, because as you go along, you have to remember, but you must also be able to think quickly and do what you have to do in such a way that you don't sort of stray from what you're doing or get a mental block, and then you end up on stage as what we say, your boss.
Us.
You know.
But, the Calypso also comes from a space where in our Caribbean communities, once you're a Calypsonian, as Maestro pointed out, where you're coming with, tell me what you're coming with. Every Calypsonian who lives in a community knows that as they walk down the road, right, people want to know, so what are you singing next year, and they want you to give them a verse and chorus, because you as Calypsonian should be able to just blurt out a calypso just like that, because calypso is nothing to compose. Calypso is so easy, and the ability to extempo and freestyle feeds into that. The whole process of composing is not really something serious. The calypsonian could just sit down and just write a calypso in 3 minutes, in 5 minutes, it's finished. It's not a process. It's not like if he is writing any poetic work or writing a short story or something that you have to sit down and craft. A calypso is just that, you pick up your guitar and you strum 2-3 chords
and you put some words to it.
Calypso. And I think that we have to move away from that to compose any serious work, takes work, right? But the ability to extempore and freestyle now, what the freestyle is doing is bringing a lot of some younger people in the space.
Yes, indeed.
The Bungees and KMC would have come from that. I remember KMC back in the day. He was a freestyle artist, right? And he did this song called Bashment to Calypso, right? And it blew up after the carnival. In fact, he went somewhere in New York and they were playing it. And I remember him saying back in the day, say, boy, I go in and change all my freestyle into soca. Because when he realized the money he made from going out in New York and singing and so on, he said, I go in and change all my freestyle into soca. So that for the artists like Orlando Octave and the Squeezy ranking and so on, who came from that chanting space, and now enter into the freestyle monarch or calypso. It's an opening because it's the same road that Bungie and KMC and so on would pass.
Right.
And I'm sure probably Talpree also.
Well, yes, definitely Talpree. I mean, even Killer and others. I mean, a lot of the young guys, they came from that freestyle, dub thing, and then they transition into the soca. But Val, let's look. I want us to look now, because it's amazing how time goes by quickly. Let's look at the March Gras. So we had a number of Calypsonians who went into the final to compete to dethrone Marshall Montano. Of course, we had the Hilon, the Karinache, 7 Monarchs.
7 Monarchs.
Tezaya, Chucky.
Tezaya, the Terry Lions.
That's right.
Right.
Kurt Allen.
Who else?
Chucky, yes.
Chuck Gordon is one, So, 7. And, of course, don't forget Ricky Jai.
Ricky Jai.
A Chutney Soca Monarch. So you could almost say 8 monarchs inside of there.
Undisputed Chutney. That's what he says. Undisputed Chutney Monarch.
Undisputed King. Yes.
So you had some, you had as you said, we had 8 monarchs, and you expected people to be glued to the seats and getting some really good performances.
A riveting competition.
Indeed.
It did not turn out to be that.
Right. There was a talk when the season started that, of course, Marshall, having the right to defend his crown. People felt, and of course, when he came with the groove and all of that, the big links and all of that, and in the party, there was the talk that he was going to have a clean sweep. In fact, I was listening to Orlando Octave on one of his social media posts saying that Daddy is going to make a clean sweep. He's going to win Chutney. Yes, he's going to win the Calypso Monarch and win the road match. Well, he fell short. He fell short by one. But with that kind of anticipation, and you going into the competition. Right, and of course you going up against 6 or 7 other monarchs, and of course you have, veterans like Twiggy, who's been around for many years, and of course the young guy Squeezy Rankin, who came out with a song that everybody, maybe the whole Caribbean, gravitated to. He won the Young King, so in his own right he was a monarch as well. So you had a very solid cast, and on the night.
Yeah, young brother.
Young brother. The new kid on the block.
Anything who coming to take everything, young brother.
Oh, right. Yeah. And so the night I don't know if you did the match where you looked at it. I sat and I looked at it all night. And I must say the production was quite good. It went quickly. The guys, they had the thing. There was some issues in between, but nevertheless the competition rolled out well. And the night Marshall was not able to defend his monarch. He placed 5th, and of course Hilon won. Your thoughts on that competition that night? Mind you, everybody, and we know that when you're in a competition, everybody listening, everybody present, they're a judge. You judging based on what you see, what you hear, and you're gonna call your king for the night. Or you gonna call who come in last and who come in and who come in everything. That's how we are. That's the nature of us. But your thoughts on the actual competition that night and how everything played out?
Well, I say we started looking at it or geared to look at this final with all of these people there. The expectation that Marshall could pull it off. The night before, he just won the Chutney Soca Monarch. Right. And personally, I wonder whether he could come and pull it off, because the Chutney Soca went into the wee hours of the morning. He is not 25 years old anymore.
That's right.
So that I personally had a question whether he could come and do it, but on his day he probably could have. It's just that when you saw his performance, you realize that the night before, played into the night of the monarch in terms of his energy and so on, right? He made mistakes, blundered on delivery of lyric and so on. He just didn't have the same kind of energy. It wasn't the same performance in terms of last year, The last year where he was at school and rested and so on and not performing, he came on there and gave a masterful performance with probably a weaker song last year than this year, right? So clearly with this song this year, you felt that if he was on, he could have done it. And he wasn't on, so he fell short. But did the night live up to expectation in terms of great songs? No. Some of the people inside of there came and give the best performance they could have given, so that Twiggy was there and Rosalind Reed, and they did well in terms of presenting themselves.
I
felt honestly that maybe their positions were already sealed, based on the lineup and so on. Their position may have already been sealed, and that came down, so that Squeezy Rankin tried something at the semi-final. He tried to raise the key a bit, maybe by a tone, and have the audience and have the chorus sing a refrain. It didn't work at the semi-final, so he went right back to it. But it didn't work. It didn't work in terms of his props, and it didn't work with his whole delivery of the song, so that he also kind of flattered to deceive on the night, right? You had Ricky did his best on the night, and had a really good performance, right? A song written by Kurt Allen for him. He delivered it well, right? Not any big lyric, but he definitely had a really good performance of it. So Ricky was there. Terry came and she performed a song that she was fortunate to be in the final with, right? Because of what happened at the semi-final.
She had a really hard time. She had a hard time.
A straight ride into the final, maybe because of who she is and previous performance, but certainly not on what happened at the semi-final. So that she came and she performed, and Tazia was on point vocally. Right, sang very well, had a good performance. He performed, he danced, so on. Lyrically, not a very strong song, and but he had a wonderful performance of it. Right. Before I said that Marshall faltered, so he suffered because of that. Karine did her thing. Costume-wise, I kind of wondered about, her choice of costume, which is nothing, but she is always vocally ready. The song is nothing really. What it is to be a leader. I mean, that could be any leader.
Very cliched. I wasn't.
Yeah. In fact, she poked fun at maybe the opposition leader and so on. So it was leaning in a certain way, but you had other songs dealing with that, with that whole leadership thing, which probably on the night were better. So she suffered because of that. The dark horse in the race was the young brother, right? Who looked good and sounded good, and but I mean, I told a friend once, I say, he's singing a very simplistic song. He said, what do you expect of young brother? He's young brother, so you have to sing, a simplistic song. But he was on point. He sang well, and ended up in third position, which is good for him. And the battle was between, let's say, Kurt and Helen, right? My personal choice was Kurt. I think for me that the song offered more of a range in terms of the lyric and storytelling and the energy of Calypso. I felt that whatever Calypso was, I think that Kurt was the best representative of that on the night. Helen was Helen. He was smooth, he was confident, but I think for me, musically, it did not go, it did not travel much. Musically, it did not travel much, and that is what I would think. That's why I would have probably flipped the result. but the result is the result, and I say both him and Kurt are very happy and comfortable with the results as it came now.
Right.
So that's my final. Yeah.
I mean, I agree. I agree with you. However, I leaned more to Hillon. I like the vehicle used to carry the message. I thought the music fitted well with what he was singing about. So it was a nice combination, lyrics, melody. Of course, he renders extremely well. There wasn't no kind of dramatization, but he came on, he did what he had to do, and I couldn't see anyone defeating him on the night. I thought, and he defeated Kurt by only 1 point. Kurt was really good. I love his Kaiso. And Kurt is a very good performer. The last Bajan in competition, once he's there, the other Calypsonians, they have to be on guard because he's coming, But on that night, I felt that Hillon was the man. Hillon was the man to beat. I felt that, as you said, Ricky Jai, I felt he could have been in a better position than what was it, 8th? I think it was 8th, somewhere around the 9th. Right. And I also felt that Twiggy, she gave a really good account of herself. She performed well. Reminded me a lot of Bomber's Kaiso some years ago, Thunder at 75, 65, and she's still relevant. But she was good. I thought she was quite good. She rendered well. What I loved about it, the infusion of the little rap inside of the song. I really enjoyed that. And I thought when I heard she was announced, first. Well, she was announced first. She was announced first. I was a little disappointed. I really thought she may have been, up there, within the first 6, I would say. So that was my only thing. But other than that, it is what it is. People took offense. I saw the father of Desire, lamenting the fact that they made him see trouble as a Calypso. He'd been a former monarch himself, and now they're doing it to his son. Yeah. And these are familiar familiar things. It's familiar in the Caribbean. I've seen and heard it in Grenada. So it's a Caribbean thing, and I think maybe some of all of these things. It adds to the beauty of the art form, the little bacchanal inside of there, and all of that. It does add. But as you said, the result is the result, and I guess the guys have to go back to the drawing board and do their do and come again and try to defeat Hillon, so that was how the Calypso went down.
The thing, Godfrey, with Dwayne, it's and it's a Caribbean thing, but to get to the heart of it, it's all about money,
right?
One thing, the competitions in the Caribbean are a way where people, mainly the Calypsonian, because the Calypsonian was coming from the bottom of the social ladder, and it's their way of earning, so that they can live, they can raise their standard of living, so that when you have from first to fifth earning 100, like 50 is probably about $150,000, and the top is like $700,000. So that if you're out of that 1 to 5, you're out of the big money. And that is what that grumble is about. It is about money. So that sad that we depend so heavily on one competition a year, to save us from a particular kind of existence, right? But one other thing I wanted to point out, I wanted to probably kind of juxtapose the calypso to, let's say, the pan, the pan, right? So that you would have like Helen winning with 268 points, right? And you in when you look at probably the pan scores for the season, you would find that a score like that based, I know the criteria would be different, but you would have probably the same panel of judges or the same amount of judges judging a performance, and I'm dealing with performance and the ability to probably deliver a sterling product on the night. And 268 marks, right, would probably play a band on any given night at probably about 8th or 9th, right? If you look at the final of the pan, Exodus was like 288 points.
Right.
Yeah. Renegades 285, Skiffle Bunch 283, Supernova 282, Phase 2 281, Silver Stars 6 280, Angel Harps 280, All Stars, Massey Trinidad All Stars 279, Invaders the 9th 277, and Song Setters 9th band, because it's 10 of them in the final, 277. So that the top is 288 and the last place band is 277.
So a few points separating first to
points, right? And on the Calypso though, you have Twiggy scoring 237 points and Helen scoring 268.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that when you look at that, right, as Chogda's point, and I'm not here to denigrate anyone. He said he's the best of a bad lot. So he's saying that the crop that we end up with from semi-final to final is not the best, and you have the results that you have. So that going forward, we have to look at that. We have to pay more attention to the criteria and really try to select the best work based on the criteria. Because, as I say, in terms of the pan, the last band is making 277 points.
Yeah.
But music, talking music, the last band making 277, and the top Calypsonian making 268. Yeah. Quite a disparity.
It is. Of course.
How performance on the night?
As you mentioned points, in the semi-final round to move on to the final, the top. Well, the artist that was selected, how was the points like? Do you have any idea how it was in terms of the scores?
I have no idea. The only thing I know is Miranda's points.
Right. And that's the next thing. And you wonder how does a calypso like that not make it to the next round of competition?
Yeah. And of course, you know, because we go there, but here is not the space for that. That right. She made 275.6 points
and not get into 40.
That's for me quite an enigma. But I leave that there. Quite an enigma. 75.6 points. 75.6 of the marks, and not getting into the final. Quite an enigma.
Yeah.
So we would leave that there because, as the old people say, time longer than twine.
That's right. definitely so. But that
so there's a lot of time to deal with that.
Yeah. That being said, the bacchanal continues because we have then there came the fight for the road march, and of course we had the Marshall again, and I've seen so much fun being poked at Marshall. He wants to win Miss World. World, he wants to win, and you get all of these things, and you know, and you know, I mean, Marshall is one of my favorite artists, maybe my favorite artist. So I follow him a lot on his social media page and what he does and all of that.
You don't have a choice. You don't have a choice. I think Marshall, outside of, let's say, Sparrow or David Rudder, is the only artist in the Caribbean who have grown up in people's face, you know?
Yes.
So throughout the Caribbean, you know Marshall. He's the only person in the Caribbean who has literally grown up in people's face.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
in that case, he is special, and people love him because of that.
Yeah, and you know, I was saying, you know, like, you know, with all of what's been said, you know, you see Marshall, and he's this very happy, you know, guy, and at one point he was even adding to it. He did an interview with one of the guys, and there was you know, poking the fun at him, saying, well, look, you know, people say you want to win chutney, you want to win this, and he added Miss World. What was the other one? Was it the car racing thing? Well, they even had him in a kiddies carnival costume, and that did not bother him at all. I mean, he was even adding to the fun of it. You know, and the road match fight came on with himself and Bungie Garlin, you know, with the Bungie carrying it, and Marshall Party. And I remember in the very same interview, the guy was asking him, he said, look, I understand you have a big collab coming up. You want to share it with us? Is it a foreign artist? He said, no, it's local. And the guy was pressing him to, you know, to get out of him. And he said, and he was saying, he said, no, I would just carry it. You know, I would just carry it. And I laughed. I laughed. And then later, there was a song with himself, Bungie Garlin, and somebody else that was released, you know. And I think it's wonderful, because there was a time when there seemed to have been this little uneasiness between himself and Bungie Garlin, and in 2011, and you know, I always remember that in the Soca Monarch, where he poked some serious fun at Bungie. In fact, myself and Stacey, we always go at it, because she's in the Bungie fair and camp, and I in the Marshall camp. So you know, and we always poke fun at it. And from time to time, I would send her a little clip where Marshall gave Bungie that pick-on, and then he said to the crowd, talk now, because all along they've been shouting while he was singing, Bungie, and then he drops the line, and then everybody starts singing Marshall, and he just flipped it at the spur of the moment, and then he won. But you know, back to the road match, so they party and they carry it, and then lo and behold, yesterday, the Bacchanal came out, where one of the Tuco tabulators basically came out and said, look, Marshall is leading, identified herself, said, you know, who she was, what she did, and told people that, look, Marshall is leading with Party, the people like Party, and that she got a call from another area telling her that Marshall is also leading, and it looks like if he go win it, and she ends by saying, well, even me, I like my Party. So, you know, and I tell you, honestly, I don't think she said it in a negative way or to sort of create anything. I think she was caught up in all the excitement of the thing. And
it's a case of exuberance.
And it came out.
A young person given a position and exuberant about it, and also want to insert herself in terms of the moment.
Indeed,
right? To give a response that is premature. So that I didn't think she was malicious.
No, she wasn't. I don't think so.
Yeah, she was just too exuberant about it, and it cost her job.
Yes,
because she was probably relieved of her position because of that exuberance. But I didn't think that you know, it interfered with anything.
No, right? I don't think so. No, not at all. Not at all.
One thing though that we have to look at is that the road march is decided when the bands cross
the stage,
judging venue.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As opposed to, let's say that you have people at all points
playing,
whether in Port of Spain or San Fernando or Rima in Tobago, right? Picking up areas where they are hearing the song. Mm-hmm. It is only at the judging point. So what can happen is that judging point process can be manipulated, where the band is playing one thing just off the stage where people are dancing, but as it hit the stage,
they switch,
the DJ and he plays something else. But that's a kind of rabbit hole that one does not want to definitely descend.
Definitely.
But you have to look at that, in terms of how the road matches are tabulated. And over the years, we have had some problems with artists feeling that they have been undone. Mm-hmm. Iowa back in the day with Boom Boom Time and Duke, Thunder,
yes,
right?
Yes.
That for many
Bonnie and Clyde. Some years ago, with Bonnie and Clyde and what was the guy's name? Showing Winchester. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They were Bonnie and Clyde was being played right through, and as soon as they hit the stage, a different story. Open the gate.
Right. That you have those things. Crazy was very adamant some years ago about that. He's by the savannah and probably trying to engage people and so on to play a song because he felt that the soca mafia was against him. Mm-hmm. So that you have that. But my feeling though is that while Marshall may have won now 11 road matches, tying with Kitchener, I, in my own sense of reverie, saying, but, while I could not just age, but remember a Kitchener road match, and it comes so easily with its melody and lyric, it's not so easy to pull back Marshall 11 wins over the years. You ever thought about that? It's not easy.
It's true. I mean,
these modern road matches does not necessarily come very easily with melody and lyrics.
Let me tell you, the one Marshall road match that I could just remember straight off the bat like that was Jumbie. No, Jumbie. That was in 2000 and not Big Truck. Jumbie. In fact, that was 2007, I think it was, when Marshall had the Book of Angels album, and in fact, you had Light It Up. I think he did Light It Up with Patrice, and then he had this other one. Two songs, Light It Up and another one. And everybody, because I was in Trinidad that year for the carnival, and these two songs, they were it was almost a foregone conclusion that these two songs would be road match 1 and 2.
Right.
And final week he dropped Jumbie, and that was it. I mean, everything else was just thrown out. Jumbie, yeah. I mean, and that one, and if I'm not mistaken, and I need to recheck it, but I may want to put my head on the block to say that Jumbie is the road match that probably scored the most points in terms of plays.
I don't think so. I think that the two road matches that are out front, and you can check, it's Palance and Maximus.
What about Shadow Stranger? There were a couple of them that scored really, really high.
Because both Palance and the Maximus song scored over 415 points.
Okay.
And I think that is out there.
Right. Maybe it's correct. But
lopsided.
I remember Jumbie was really, really good that year, but definitely no. Yeah. So I'm subject to correction there. But the one last question though. The competition in Trinidad, of course you have the Calypso competition, you have the Soca Monarch and all the other competition, but I get the feeling that the road match holds a lot of weight in Trinidad in terms of competition.
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody who creates a particular brand of music, let's say Power Soca, wants to have that title of ruling the road.
Right.
have thousands of people on Monday. Let's start from Saturday. The Saturday with Kiddies Carnival is a kind of precursor in terms of what is going to happen. So it starts with the Kiddies Carnival, Red Cross Kiddies Carnival, and so on. And you can see young children on the streets parading. But it is the joy that you have this song that is transporting thousands of people en masse down the road, for 2 days in the hot sun. And they are playing mass to your song. That is different, so much different from a Calypso monarch, where you have a few hundred people at a venue listening and cheering you on, so that you may have 2,000 people there and you win a crown, But when you win a road march, the nation is certainly aware of that song much more than any other song, so that it is not something that happens in the wings or the sidelines. It is frontal. Everybody knows, and it carries a weight, so that so that even though if it is not awarded the big purse as the monarch, certainly it carries more weight. That is why, the winner is now guaranteed that they can go to any carnival all over the globe where carnivals are now held and perform that song. So yeah, that's the
I asked
thing
because you listen to some of the comments from the artists, even Marshall, when he spoke about, and very humbly so, that if he won this year he would be tied to Kitchener, and it appeared to be a very big thing for him because Kitchener is regarded very, very highly, probably even higher than the Mighty Sparrow. So you get the feel that winning the road match and even a case like this, having to tie with Lord Kitchener, I mean, that is something really significant. So that was the
I mean, Marshall tying, and it's like comparing Brian Lara with Sobers, you know. And so Brian he passed the score, and he probably made more runs over a period of time. But is he better, in terms of Sobers? Right, and what he did, and you really can't compare the generations. So that Marshall, yes, have won 11, but is he truly greater than Kitchener and Super Blue?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, for example, you like in the case of Chocdas, I mean, Chocdas has won more Calypso Monarch titles than Sparrow. But from the time you mentioned Calypso King of the World, people only know one Calypso King of the World is the Mighty Sparrow.
Of course. So that winning the title is one thing, but being there in the minds of people as a favorite, as a kind of master, the king of them all. You can't supplant that other person. So that yes, he may have 11 as Kitchener and more than Super Blue, but I don't know that he has surpassed them. One of the things about both Kitchener and Super is that they created their own work.
Yes.
So he has no claim to that title.
Right.
Creating his own work and so on.
Definitely.
So that you definitely can't go past them. But one of the things I'm seeing, the new phenomenon is that songs are winning, and they don't have the same staying power, and you can't sing them as others, so that so it is another win, but is it something you can sing easily?
I would think, in a case like that, basically all you need to learn is the chorus. We love the party. That's all. I mean, that's what people say. But I mean, for example, you look at Bungie in some of the shows, and Bungie comes on, sings his lines, and then that's it. The crowd takes it. Carry it. Whoever, carry it. And that's it.
And so that Bungee's song speaks to something that we need to look at.
Yes,
right?
indeed.
He is definitely speaking to the fact that it is the underclass who created the carnival, who used to carry it, and he is going back to that period where the people on the ground who created the carnival should be re-empowered to do the carry it again, because in Trinidad the carnival has moved away from them. And it's going further and further west. It's now, you have two carnivals operating. You have the Drome, Soca Drome, and you have the Savannah, right? And the Savannah is becoming more depleted. So his song is saying that, hey, we need to return to the ground. But is the consciousness of the people there to understand that is what's happening, so that the people definitely are not connected to that, so they go on and party.
That's it. No, that's the thing. And again, another Caribbean phenomenon, and Grenada the same thing. The carnival has moved from where it started in the what we call the countryside, and has now become one big Juve carnival. Monday morning, people jumping up with tar, and that's it. And after that, there's nothing else. Right. So we need to go back to where it was and carry it, and after that, then we can have a party. Val, I tell you what, that's all the time we have. That's all the time we have tonight. It was really a wonderful discussion. I'm looking forward to next Wednesday. Hopefully, we should have some guests with us in studio. But I again, congratulations on another carnival in Trinidad and Tobago, and congratulations to all the winners, the Marshall, the Black Dan, Helon Francis, the King and Queen of the band, the Panorama. Congratulations to all, and of course all the participants, even more so the people.
Before we go, we didn't mention Zaydan Darius, the young boy. For me, probably the best thing that has happened to the carnival.
Yes.
The new junior soca.
Yes. We missed him. Yeah, we missed him indeed. Yes. So again, congratulations to all. All the people who participated, who contributed, to make it what it was. Because it's not just the winners. All the people. Because without all the other participants, you wouldn't have winners. So I think, again, to Bungie, we need to go back there and carry it.
We need to understand why it is important for the ground to carry it, to the ground to reconnect to something that they have an investment in, and not to allow it to just slip away and just see the carnival as an occasion to party.
That's right.
The carnival is not all just about partying. It's not all about just putting on a costume and jumping frantically for 2 days and then taking it off or discarding it and going back into your space. But it has to do with connecting,
definitely,
and understanding why certain things are important. So that I think he's trying to say that, but I think that message in the mail has been missed. But people still have time to reconnect.
Oh, definitely. So Val, thank you very much again for being here. Such lively discussions, and just discussing what some of the things that has created us as a Caribbean people. I look forward to next Wednesday evening. So thank you very much, and do have a good night. All the best.
Yeah, man. You're welcome, girl. Big thanks. Bye.
Yes, indeed.